issued a new tornado warning for Dane County and Jefferson County for this cell. So this is the only cell right now that we're going to be concerned about. We've got some rotation going on there. So here are the specifics here. This tornado warning goes until 2:30. So right now we're at 2:09. It was just issued at 2:05. We don't have a confirmed tornado like we had earlier in some of those western areas, at least outside of our area, but storms starting to rotate, and these storms are in a very favorable environment. Dew points, my goodness, you go outside today, they're in the 70s, and that is really, really high. So that moisture is deep. So these storms are feeding off of that high heat and humidity. Temperatures in the 80s and all of that coming together. We also have plenty of wind shear as this disturbance moves through. You can see that storm is moving to the north and east as we track it for you. We do have some additional stronger storms moving throughout portions, at least of western Dodge County, but the one that we're concerned about is Jefferson County, and if it holds together, for that matter, it will likely move into southern portions of Dodge County. So here is the latest storm track. Lake Mills at 2:13, Watertown at 2:29, Exonia at 2:34. That's if that storm continues to hold together. Bottom line is, if you're in and around that tornado warned part of the storm, it's a good idea now to be basically seeking those tornado precautions. If you have a basement, that is the best place to go, away from windows. If you don't have a basement, you don't have to worry about it. You can also just stay on the lowest floor. That first floor, put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. A bathroom or a closet toward the center part of the home would be a great spot to go. And all you got to do is just turn up the television, and we'll continue to watch this tornado warning until 2:30. Rebecca has switched on over to our rotation tracker, and we can zoom in a little bit closer to where that is as we are watching that particular storm. Again, we've been seeing some mid-level rotation on that storm. Rebecca, you may want to go over to velocity too and just see. Sometimes that will show up as well, as you kind of get an idea here. Just to the west of Oakland, to the southwest of Lake Ripley, within this area between Deerfield and Christiana, that would be the area of rotation as that tracks to the north and east. That's what we're talking about near the Lake Mills area. So a good idea to be watching closely there. If you are in and around this area with the tornado warning, I just talked about those tornado precautions and what you need to do. So now, granted, I know we are in the middle of the afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. We may have some young folks, some young kids that may be out there, maybe home alone, summertime. If mom or dad are gone and you're watching, listen, the best thing you can do is just stay calm and turn the television up. And if you have that basement, that's a great place to go. If you don't, like I said, bathroom or a closet, stay away from windows and stay there. We are also streaming this on Facebook Live as well, because we understand a lot of people this time of the day are probably not by their television. So this is the line of storms that we've been watching. There's a secondary one developing out to the west. But here's the thing. We've got the tornado watch that goes until 6 o'clock. These storms that are going to be heading close to the lakefront, they are in an atmosphere that has not been tapped, all right? It's been untouched. So you've got a lot of heat and humidity, and that's the fuel for these storms to go. Aloft, we also have a lot of cold air aloft, and there's enough wind shear. What do we mean by wind shear? We have winds that are coming in at different directions with height, and that's why these storms have really thrived this afternoon, because they're in a pretty decent spot. Rebecca's working the radar, and we're seeing these storms running right around 40,000 feet. Could be some hail with them, but the main threat would be some damaging winds and obviously a developing tornado. Rebecca's over the hail tracker there. not seeing a ton, may get some dime size or maybe some nickel size hail within that particular cell. But Rebecca, just north of there, if you want to pan north, notice that cell where the cluster of lightning is, just away from Beaver Dam. That looks like that could be producing maybe up to some quarter size hail. So it wouldn't surprise me at some point if we get a severe thunderstorm warning that gets issued there. But that's really not our focus right now. It is the tornado warning. Rebecca, if you want to just turn off the data and just go to the red box and maybe zoom in a little bit closer there, just to show people, where that polygon is, and we'll zoom in to Jefferson County. So this gives you an idea here. Oakland, Lake Mills. If you're watching from Johnson Creek, Jefferson, Helenville, you are not in the tornado warned area yet, but that could change as that warning gets extended. So Rebecca's doing a good job at zooming in and taking a look at things. And Rebecca, if you want to do another storm track, yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and storm track that out for you. Just also want to let you know that I have a set of eyes that is monitoring the National Weather Service chat. And we did get just a minute ago that into Jefferson County now that we are getting a report of a funnel cloud. And so that's how those other ones started. We started to get reports of a funnel cloud. We did have some ground confirmation. That's not a great sign. So like Drew said, what I can do here is just to not inundate you with a lot of data. Just take a look at that red polygon, because that is that severe cell, and I'll go ahead and I can track it out for you. And these have had a history of moving to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So what I'm going to do is just bring that out to about 30 miles per hour so you can see that there. So we're talking about places like Oconomowoc, 243 this afternoon. Okauchee Lake, 247. So again, that's kind of the time frame. If you even just look at the edge of that track, that is going to take you closer to maybe 3 p.m. So now we're talking maybe even working into Washington County. Again, the history for Wisconsin tornadoes, they tend to stay on the ground for about 10 miles, but they can rise up. You can have other funnels develop and continue to come through that same cell. So again, we don't want to let our guard down as of yet. But this is kind of the main show that we're watching right now when we're looking at our velocity product.
Yeah, so I want to explain that, and that was excellent. Good point there too, Rebecca, about the length of these storms typically, and a lot of times today, what you'll see is these storms they'll strengthen, they may weaken, and we call that recycling. That can happen. So what we're looking at here is a batch of winds that are moving in different directions. So green is coming toward me, that's toward the radar. Red is moving away. So we've got what we call a couplet that we're showing on the velocity. And Rebecca, if you want to save this and maybe jump over to our rotation tracker or storm relative velocity and see if that's showing up at all on that other product, we can see. But it didn't seem like it was really showing up that great. I feel like the velocity was doing a little bit better of a job, just to show you the difference in the green and red. That's all you're seeing is just that difference, and the radar is sensing which way the winds are coming. And so when you have that couplet there, that's typically where that tornado could develop. And as Rebecca said, we do have some spotters on that, and there is a funnel cloud on at least on that particular storm. But in the meantime,
yep, that was right there around Stoughton where that funnel cloud was.
Okay.
Now you're seeing that rotation that would probably be closer to that Christiana area. So again, that's just obviously we're in real time here as that continues to move to the northeast. And like Drew said here, that other product is looking a little bit better to pick up that rotation there.
Right, and now it's just updated. So now, and that's what we're going to see a little bit. So again, we're starting to get those winds. They're going to be moving into Lake Ripley. So that storm is now crossing into Jefferson County. So we've tried to give you a heads up on that particular storm as it is moving to the north and east. So if you want, Rebecca, do a storm track from where that is roughly, and we'll pull that out. You said that's moving what, 35 or?
It's been waffling about 30 to 35 miles an hour, and I'm just looking at if we just back up the radar, let's just kind of make sure we've got that correct trajectory.
Yeah.
And so it looks to be kind of northeast in that fashion there.
Yeah, that really shows
that
it.
out about 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, so obviously we've got the tornado warning until 2:30. If you're just joining us, that is for Jefferson County. We have the tornado watch which goes rather until 6 o'clock. So the ingredients are there. High heat and humidity. Just step outside. It's like you walk into a wall of water. The moisture is really, really prevalent, and the storms have beefed up this afternoon. But we also have wind shear, and so any one of these storms, these individual storms, could go into a favorable environment. They can rotate, and that's why we have the tornado warning for Jefferson County. Let's stay on that one, Rebecca. Again, the warning goes until 2:30. Let's stay on this radar view and zoom in, and might be able to see a little bit of that hook to the southwest of Jefferson. I want to point this out. So right here, if you've ever heard of what's called a hook or a hook echo, what's happening here, here's a little weather-wise lesson just to show you conceptually what's going on. We've got the rotation, which is right here where you see this hook, this notch. That's where the internal rotation is, and around it, the radar is sensing rain that's getting wrapped around. That's why we get this, this hook echo. And so in and around here would be the spot where a developing tornado would be. And the more pronounced that hook is, the greater the mesocyclone is inside. That mesocyclone is the internal rotation. Essentially, it's like a combustible engine inside that balances everything that's going on in the storm. It's pulling in the warm, unstable air, the humid air, and it's also balancing that and sending the cool downdraft air out. And as long as it's in balance, it's going to continue to go. So that's a lot to be said. But this is what you call a supercell thunderstorm, and that hail core would be just to the north of that mesocyclone, but still you could get some damaging winds. And also you see the lightning is clustered right around that mesocyclone. So this storm, as you look at it, Rebecca, it's not really competing with a whole lot. You know, we're not seeing storms right here or here, because storms, quite frankly, it's thievery. They steal each other's energy. Sharing is not caring with storms. When I go to schools, I talk about that all the time. That's exactly what happens with these storms. Rebecca, anything new from the Weather Service?
Yeah, and I just want to point out that down just due south of where you're seeing the red polygon. So now I'll go ahead and circle this here for you. So
yeah.
This particular cell that we're looking at here into Rock County, we're getting reports of multiple funnels on that storm. And so, you know, just watching this all day long, this is now a clear and cut history of all of these individual cells starting to show spin-ups. I'm looking at some pretty good pictures here coming into the National Weather Service. We do have some of these confirmed tornadoes on the ground. Again, not under warning, but this is how we start to watch this unfold. We're starting to see some of those funnels being reported here, so that means we're seeing that lowering of that rotation, which, wait and see, this could eventually here in the next few minutes turn into a tornado warning at this time. So again, as of now, it's not, but we're starting to get those preliminary reports. So we've got all these individual cells that are kind of behaving independently here, and that's what we'll continue to see some of those individual potential additional warnings. Now, this could also be strong enough for just a severe thunderstorm warning too. So
sure.
Again, we're just watching all of this unfold here in real time, just like you are at home, and we're continuing to track this here minute by minute for you. And as of now, again, just that one warning there concentrated as we get now toward the Lake Mills area. Certainly you want to make sure you are getting to your safe place in Lake Mills, getting to your safe place if you are anywhere northeast of the cell, Shields to Watertown even. You need to start preparing for what is coming your way here.
So it's crossing over the border. That's where that rotation is. Rebecca, if you want to go right from the hook and draw that out to the northeast, I think it's just important to keep doing some storm tracks. Again, we're almost at 2:30. The warning goes until 2:30. My guess is they probably will extend it. But, you know, essentially, Lake Mills impacting you pretty soon over the next couple of minutes. Watertown at 2:47, Ixonia at 2:53, Neosho at 3:05. Right now, Oconomowoc, we will see if that storm moves closer to you. You're not in a warning at this point, but, you know, if the storm pivots And it may turn, it may right turn just a little bit, which is possible. But this is the area, obviously, that we're concerned about as that storm moves to the northeast. This is the latest storm track. So if you are within that area and you're wondering, well, that storm is moving closer, now's the time. If you don't have a television, you can also just take us with Facebook Live. We should be streaming that. But I would really recommend going to a basement, away from windows, a closet or a bathroom. Put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. So I mentioned this earlier, probably have some kiddos that are home alone. It is summertime. I totally understand that. This is scary stuff. For folks, you can be scared of storms and especially tornadoes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my recommendation is take a breath. Keep watching, keep listening, turn up the television, and we'll walk you through. Just go to those safe spots. You're going to be fine. You will be fine in those safe spots. As that storm moves on, we've got that tornado warning until 2:30. Again, this is for Dane and Jefferson County. Rebecca had mentioned that storm to the south, moving out of Rock County. We've got some chasers, the storm spotters chasers that are on that cell. That's the good thing about the late afternoon, at least, is we've got people that can watch it. This isn't like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. But conversely, these storms are now tapping into a lot of high heat and humidity. And so just to the southwest of Whitewater, south of Koshkonong, near that Milton area, as that storm looks like it's trying to take shape a little bit. Still no severe thunderstorm warning on that cell, but that could change quickly. Anything on the southern edge of this line is something that has to be watched because, again, it's not really fighting for ingredients. So we'll have to see what this one continues to do. My guess is, Rebecca, that they will extend the tornado warning on that as long as it looks like it's still rotating. We're getting close to 2:30 and we're only 4 minutes away. Any discussion on that by chance?
There's no discussion on that. However, just also another thing to point out is sometimes you don't get a clear view of a tornado. The latest report out of 220 also showing a rain-wrapped funnel that's coming out of the Fall Rivers area in Columbia County. So again, just outside of the viewing area, moving in, but obscured as it's wrapped in rain. So if you're trying to get a peek of it, that's not a great idea because sometimes you just have so much rain wrapping around that you don't get a clear view. And like Drew said, you can see all of these cells all the way down into Illinois. In that pink, what you're seeing is a severe thunderstorm watch. But even there, look at south and east of Rockford. We're talking about some pretty hefty storms with a ton of lightning. And if that continues to move to the northeast, that could potentially clip Kenosha County. So we're watching for that. Of course, the tail end of that appears to be the strongest at this time with that under warning. But again, these are close calls at the least for that. And again, like Drew mentioned, kind of these individual cells, so they have all the ingredients just to themselves to continue to unfold here to
Right.
these severe levels.
Well, and you got a bit of a lake breeze too that's setting up right here. You could see that thin green line, so that adds another little flavor to all of this, especially as storms cross that boundary. Will they spin up a little bit more, or they may eventually weaken once they pass that boundary? It's one of those things you just have to kind of wait and see. But that may provide a little stability closer to the lakefront. But at this point, like Rebecca mentioned, we've got individual storms, individual cells. We also have more developing throughout northern Illinois that could move closer to maybe some of our southern counties, especially Kenosha or Walworth. We'll have to take a look at that. We're sitting at 228. The tornado warn part of that storm goes until 2:30. Rebecca, if you want to go to that northern storm, just north of our tornado warn storm, rather, south of Waupun, that storm remains fairly beefy, although it's moving into Beaver Dam. We're not seeing any severe thunderstorm warning on it, but some strong gusty winds would be possible as that moves in. Very heavy rainfall, and we could have a little hail out of that particular cell. But the one obviously we're looking at, and you can see obviously we had that funnel cloud report out of that storm. that tornado warning goes until 2:30. So the question is, whether we're extending this or not, or whether the National Weather Service is going to extend this or not, and we will find out. But that's the thing about these storms. It may weaken a little bit, and then it strengthens back up. So these storms, especially tornadic storms, they've got to be watched, and that's why we're continuously watching it. Sometimes it seems like we're repeating the same information, but the reality is people are coming in and out, watching coverage at different times too in the afternoon, and that's part of it. So let's go back over to our regular reflectivity. Rebecca, there is the hail tracker. As we see that storm, we do have some additional storms out to the west, but again, the tornado warning storm here, that's closer to, really has moved into western Jefferson County. This has had the history of producing a funnel cloud near the Stoughton area, so it's definitely wrapped up. We do have some storms around it right now that may influence whether it continues to strengthen or weaken, but we're definitely going to stay on and see what happens with the warning. It looks like that warning has dropped off. I don't want to go off quite yet. Rebecca, have they said anything if they want to extend that, or?
Unfortunately, no. Right now, and of course, again, Weather Service is very busy. If you saw that last graphic, we also had a funnel cloud with that line behind it. So back here by Baraboo at Prairie du Sac. So what we do know is that there's further discussion for additional tornadic activity. So we are by no means out of the clear here just yet. As of now, that warning has been allowed to expire. The question is already in with the National Weather Service if they're going to continue anything in terms of a tornado warning. But it looks like, again, they're starting to see, looks like that wall cloud starting to get a little bit scuddy and maybe just falling apart a little bit. But at this time, the latest thing they have said is that warning operator is considering a 30-minute extension downstream. And so we are waiting, just like you are, to see if they will continue to put that back in at least for another 30 minutes.
Yeah, before we jump off the air and then they pop it back on, I definitely want to watch that. Again, as you zoom into that particular storm that had the tornado warning, Rebecca, there's still a hook on it. You can see it if you want to zoom in a little bit closer throughout northwestern Jefferson County there, right around Lake Mills. So again, that is that area of concern. If you're watching from Lake Mills to the Milford area, that's where that hook is. At least right now, that storm, as I mentioned earlier when I came on, could be recycling. So it may weaken a little bit and it may strengthen back and possibly, produce another tornado warning. Obviously, if this moves northeast, we would be looking at some other areas as well, southern Dodge County, possibly into Washington County as well. So there still is that possibility that those areas may see something, but they're at least at this point watching and seeing if they're going to extend the tornado warning, which again, we don't do that. That's not our job, and I'm fine with that. But the tornado warnings obviously are issued from our local office in Sullivan. Watches are issued from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. That's how that works. So still obviously a pretty intense storm throughout the northwestern part of Jefferson County. As we look inside with our velocity, seeing a little bit, but it definitely is not a very tight couplet. When you see, a bright red and green pretty much like right on top of each other, that's what we call good gate-to-gate shear, and we're not seeing that right now. It definitely looked better a couple of scans earlier, especially when it was just coming over the border into Jefferson County. So right now it definitely looks more diffuse and not as, definitely not as pronounced as it was earlier. So question is, maybe the storm is going to weaken, and that would be great, and not have to deal with another tornado warning on that. But again, that's that's up for the Weather Service to issue. Just going back over to regular reflectivity, Rebecca, I do want to just visit a few other storms while we wait a little bit before we make a decision. We still have strong storms moving into the Beaver Dam area. We don't have a severe thunderstorm warning on that, but not forgetting about those storms that come through could have some gusty winds from 40 maybe to 50 miles an hour, including some lightning and thunder and maybe some small hail. That will be tracking toward the Fond du Lac area, Waupun into Fond du Lac right around 308. And then some additional storms that have pushed throughout portions of Rock County that we're also keeping an eye on. There was a storm spotter down there that was showing some rotation, and you can see this cell to the southwest of Elkhorn. While it's more elongated, there's still a lot of lightning on that storm, so that might be perking up. That might be the one that starts to develop that we would have to watch as it moves further to the north and east. Again, these areas have not experienced storms today, just high heat and humidity. So any storms that develop within this environment definitely will need to be watched. So, well, I think at this point, since we don't have an extended tornado warning, I think we will wrap up our programming. If they do decide to issue a tornado warning, we will come back on and cover it. In the meantime, you can always check on our website, cbs58.com, and for the latest. But for now, we're going to send it back to programming. Keep it right here to CBS 58. We'll be watching it for you. So what we'll do is we'll draw that out from the hook and give you an idea of where that storm will be going. These storms are moving about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Chester at 312, Oak Center at 322, Fond du Lac at 336, Taycheedah at 341. This storm, as I mentioned earlier, has had the history of funnel clouds. It's wrapped up pretty good, so that could produce a tornado at any point. So if you live anywhere in this area throughout Dodge County or Fond du Lac County, a good idea right now to be taking those tornado precautions, getting in that basement, making sure that you're staying away from windows. If you don't have that basement, don't have to worry about it. Get to the lowest floor. Put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. So that means the center part of your house or home, a bathroom or a closet away from windows would be a really good spot to be in. So like I said, National Weather Service has emergency managers and spotters that are watching that particular storm. Rebecca, let's go into our, well, here's the tornado warning. It goes out until 3:30. Let's jump into our rotation tracker and take a look at that particular part of the storm. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. So on this product here, we'll call it our velocity, showing the winds and wind speeds. Let's flip over to our other product, our storm relative velocity, and try to get a view inside this particular storm. It's not showing up a ton, but you could see to the southwest of Waupun, this area right here. Notice this bright red and then kind of a lighter green shade. That's the couplet that we've been watching on that storm. So there's definitely the radar is sensing that rotation inside that storm, and that's what we're watching as that storm moves and lifts to the north and east. So if you are watching from Waupun, you definitely need to be taking those tornado precautions very soon, because that will be moving in your direction really within probably the next 5 to 10 minutes. So you've got a little time before that part of the storm moves in. If you're just joining us, we've got a newly issued tornado warning that goes until 3:30, primarily for the northern and northwestern sections of Dodge County. Waupun at 3:17, Oak Center at 3:26, Fond du Lac at 3:40, Taycheedah at 3:45. So this is the only storm at least producing a tornado warning at this point, but we've had spotters in and around that part of the storm that have been taking a look at that cell. We've been also watching this one to the south in Watertown, and that one has had the history of some rotation as well, so we can zoom into that cell near Watertown. Definitely, it's got a little tail on it right there near the Emmett community. No severe thunderstorm warning on it, but that storm has shown some signs of rotation, so Any one of these storms that are moving east into a very favorable environment could wrap up, could rotate, and we may get some additional tornado warnings. We had some of those tornado warnings earlier in Jefferson County. Those have obviously since gone away, but these storms here are definitely need to be watched. And then you get the main line that's filling in here. We're not really seeing individual supercells like we had earlier, but even a couple of tornado warnings earlier from that line of storms. So when we're tracking these storms, I think between about now and let's say 6 or 7 o'clock, that's our window for these thunderstorms to be coming through. There is a tornado warning near the Baraboo area between Portage and near the Poinette area. So that goes until 3:30. Again, that's outside of our area, but the reason we continue to watch that is those storms could be moving back into our area. But you can see our tornado warning storm to the south of Waupun. It continues to be wrapped up pretty well. It's moving away from Beaver Dam. It is outside Mayville. You are outside of that tornado warning there, but you can see the hook itself. Earlier, if you joined me for some of that coverage, what you're seeing with that hook is the radar itself is actually seeing rain that is getting wrapped around what we call the mesocyclone, or that internal rotation. That mesocyclone is like an engine, and it is the balancer, balancing that warm, unstable air that comes into that storm and balancing the cool air that comes out. As long as that's in balance, that storm will continue to rock and roll. But what happens is, the reason we see that hook is the radar is actually sensing rain that's wrapping around the rotation itself. So that's what we're seeing there. Again, Waupun, you need to be in your safe spot as that storm comes through there. As we look at it, not as pronounced, at least on this scan, but we are getting a little bit further away from the radar on that. So some of that could be just some sampling. Rebecca?
Yeah, and the reason I am zooming in, even though it does look just a little bit muddled there, is because we do have a tornado that was just confirmed on the ground 2 miles north of Beaver Dam, and also a funnel cloud near Waupun. So even though, again, we're not seeing what looks super defined, we continue to see spin-ups that we have ground truth on from storm spotters here that are chasing. And it is a clear picture that I'm looking at of a tornado just 2 miles north of Beaver Dam on Highway 151 there. So again, that just got sent over 1 minute ago. So we can maybe try to look at a different product there to see if we can just look at that a little bit better. But again, this is nothing to joke around with today. We've had a history of multiple funnels and tornadoes that we have visibly seen. And oftentimes we come on air here and we give you these radar indicated ones, and fortunately we skirt through without any damage, but we're definitely seeing some ground truth here. So again, Beaver Dam, Waupun, Burnett, Lomira even, you just kind of want to be on the lookout here and make sure you know where you're going to go in the next, say, 30 minutes. Yeah,
we're getting kind of a dropout with some of that radar, but I'm seeing the picture off screen here that you're seeing. That's, obviously what's nice is you got folks that are in and around these storms that are watching it very closely. This is another product, our debris tracker, and sadly, the only way that we get anything going on this is actually if it's doing some damage or sucking up, different debris. Not seeing a huge dropout, with that. But when you go back to that storm, Rebecca, let's do another storm track from it. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. And if you want, you can use that ruler tool too,
Sure.
Just north of Beaver Dam, just to kind of, but we can see it right here. You can see the hook. We don't really need to do that. So the storm is moving to the northeast. Chester at 316, Fond du Lac at 340, Taycheedah at 345, and the Bergen Beach area at 349. That gives you ample time before that storm moves closer to you. Again, this is a tornado warning storm. This storm has had the history of numerous funnel clouds and a tornado on the ground. And whether that's happening exactly right now or not, over the last 10 to 15 minutes, it did. So these are dangerous storms. They're wrapped up, and it's definitely something that we need to watch. This is the leading edge. We've got some of these individual storms here, and then you got the main line out to the west. So we still have a few more hours with these scattered showers and thunderstorms coming through. Again, we are hitting peak heating right now. What do I mean by that? Well, this is typically right around 3, 4 o'clock is when our temperatures max out for the day. And so these storms are not only feasting on that heat, but also on the humidity. You walk outside today, it's like you walk into a wall of water, right? It is air you can wear. It is super, super thick. Well, that is the fuel. That's like gasoline, on a fire. You don't want to do that, but you know what happens. You get that explosive, nature, and that's the type of convection that's going on today. So, definitely hitting that. So we've got the tornado watch until 6 o'clock. That tornado warning goes until 3:30. So if you're just joining us, we are watching this tornado warned storm throughout the northern parts of Dodge County there. This is north of Watertown. We are watching another cell in Watertown, but the one that we're concerned about is north of Beaver Dam. So Beaver Dam, that storm has moved away from you, but more storms are quickly building to the southwest, so additional warnings will be possible. We have not seen many at all severe thunderstorm warnings this afternoon. Primarily, they've been tornado warned, on the storm. So you see this storm near Hustisford. I would watch that closely because you got that tail to the southwest of Kleiman, right around Emmett. You see this little guy right here. That's still a storm that is rotating, and these storms may recycle, so they may weaken a little bit. They may come into a favorable environment, spin back up. So they all need to be watched. Rebecca's cutting through this storm with our radar slicer. It's running around 35,000 feet, so we're not talking about a 45 to 50,000 foot, towering top thunderstorm, but you may get some small hail in some of that. As we look at the tornado warned storms themselves, really looking inside. Now, this velocity product, again, and I don't know if it's just if we're cutting through a couple of other storms, we're just not getting the greatest sampling there. That's why having spotters and chasers, on the ground watching things very closely, they're the ones, clearly that can see better than that radar. That radar is also scanning a little bit higher in the storm. That radar beam is angled, so the further away from the radar beam, you're going to get more mid-level stuff opposed to really close, to the ground where these chasers are. So bottom line, that tornado warning continues until 3:30. You need to treat this seriously in Dodge County. Rebecca, maybe if you want to just turn off the radar data and just zoom into the tornado warn box, and notice out to the west, we've got numerous tornado warnings. But let's zoom into our area, Dodge County, southern Fond du Lac County, within that red box, and just call out some of the names for some of the areas that we're watching. Obviously, Waupun. Let's zoom in a little bit tighter there. We've got Chester, the Alto area. Oak Center, you are not in that. Fond du Lac, you are not in it. We've got southern Fond du Lac County, but Fond du Lac proper, you're not. Leroy, you're just outside of the tornado warn area. So it's obviously a smaller polygon. We don't want to just warn, the entire county, and people saying it's sunny here and we don't have to worry about anything. That's definitely not the case. So this is the only warning in our area. It's had the history of funnel clouds and a tornado on the ground here or there. Haven't seen much when it comes to damage from that particular storm, but if you're watching from Waupun, definitely need to be in that safe spot, right? The basement, if you don't have that, bathroom or closet, get away from windows. It's the last thing. We don't want you running toward the windows. Listen, I get it. This is a social media driven world these days. We want to take pictures and all of that, but we definitely don't need that. So Rebecca?
Yeah, I just want to chime in here. There is another confirmed tornado again. You're seeing that red polygon just east of it. If we want to switch back to the other weather system here, right around Fox Lake. So again, confirmed tornado there, moving right into that red polygon. So again, this is not a loft, radar indicated. We have ground confirmation there, and that was right over Highway 151 in Fox Lake. So again, Fox Lake just west of that. So again, Waupun, get to your safe place now. We also have a flash flood warning that has just been issued for Marquette County. So again, that is the county that is also under this red tornado here. So that's just evidence of some of the heavy rain that we're dealing with. So flash flood warning in addition to tornado warning and the tornado watch there. So just one thing to add to that is that any of these heavy downpours could lead to some ponding, or if you're near flood prone areas, just keep a watch. We're dealing with all types of severe weather modes here today. So again, we're going to continue to monitor. We'll go back to your radar here so you can just take a little better look at the radar aspect of some of those warned cells. But we continue to have plenty of heavy rain in addition to the rotating storms there. So I put that radar back on there for you, Drew.
And Jessup's been watching some things as well. Do you have a report, Jessup?
I'm here at the desk just checking out, keeping eyes on social media. I did find the video that Rebecca was talking about that tornado on the ground just 2 miles north of Beaver Dam. This video was from CJ Ziegler off of Highway 51. I have reached out to try to get permission for us to use it. When we do, and if we get that permission, we'll do our best to get it on so our viewers can see it as well.
All right. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and what I like about this is we've got folks that are watching it, so you feel confident when that tornado warning continues that this is not a radar indicated, deal. This storm is wrapped up. You can see the notch right here, right over Waupun. So that tornado funnel, whatever that is right now, would be right over the Waupun area. We've got some tornado tips that we can share with you quickly, especially if you're just tuning in. Here, bottom line, is we want to get to the lowest level, right? Obviously, bring your pets inside. Stay away from those windows. If you don't have a basement, a bathroom, or a closet is a really, really good place to go. So just some real good tornado safety tips. Rebecca, let's draw that out. Let's do another storm track since we get different people coming in at different times. Looks like it is moving kind of northeast on that cell. It's moving about, 30 to 40 miles an hour? Is that about right?
Yeah, I've got it moving out about 30 miles an hour right now.
30
and
miles
so I'm
an
going to
hour.
actually take it to the edge of that there. Also keeping in mind the radar is going to be behind real time here by about a minute or two. So that's probably a pretty good, if we just back it up, I mean, that's the best thing we can do is look at that exact trajectory. And it is more northeast versus a east or northeast. So I've tried to make that track there a little further due north.
Brandon, you're in the heavy rain right now. You may get some hail. Waupun, you were right in it. That's where that tornado would be. And then as this moves further to the northeast, North Fond du Lac right around 342, Techita at 347. So unless the storm decides to pivot and rotate a little bit, make it more of a right-moving supercell, it looks like after this moves north, it probably is going to stay out of the Dodge County area. So just depending on where that goes. But that's the latest storm track for you. Particularly, Rebecca, if you want to slice into that storm, I'm actually just kind of curious to know, like right around that reflectivity over Waupun.
Sure.
We'll cut into that storm. We'll turn it on its side. So again, these storms are not running 40 to 50,000 feet, but we're seeing them, probably about 30 to 35,000 at this point. Could have some small hail, but obviously, some very strong gusty winds. And then we've got newly issued severe thunderstorm warnings now for western Dodge and northwestern parts of Jefferson County for this line of storms. Not a surprise, it's probably going to be some damaging wind type of storms, anywhere from 60 plus miles an hour. So, anytime you get a line in this type of situation today, you could see rotation, you could see some of that individual rotation as well. So can't rule out the possibility of some additional tornado warnings, that are issued. And one other cell that we're watching closely is moving northeast from Watertown in southern Dodge County. This one has had the history of some rotation as well. We're still watching it. It doesn't look like it's doing a ton near the Eustisford area and Hubbard, but it's definitely something, it looks small, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to, developing tornadoes. Even though it may be a small cell, it could be wrapped up, and it's definitely something we'll have to watch. I know there were a few chasers that were in and around that area. But there's not a thunderstorm warning on it, and there's also not a tornado warning on it. So I don't want to scare people around the Houston area. It's just something that we continue to watch as more storms are developing. So really, over the next several hours between now and about 6 o'clock, we'll continue to see scattered storms, some of which could be strong to severe. Rebecca,
and they just popped the tornado warning on that particular cell that we're zooming. So let's get back into that because that rotation is starting to come together a little bit clearer there. So now as we go ahead and just take a query on how long they've got that out, and again, clearly you can see with that latest scan, the intense red and kind of that curvature there, that tornado warning now going until 4 o'clock, which means we're going to be live on air with you here until 4 o'clock unless the National Weather Service were to cancel this warning early. So we're going to be on here at least the next 35 minutes. We're going to continue to expect all of these storms here that we're seeing, but that is a newly issued tornado warning, and like Drew just mentioned, we have been quickly seeing rotation popping up out of these storms, or I guess dropping, a better way to explain that. And so here we are now seeing enough evidence where they feel that that should be under tornado warning. So that is the newest issued tornado warning there, one of probably a half dozen today. And again, most of these have had ground confirmation. This has actually been a fairly active day for ground confirmation as far back as I can remember. So this is definitely a very interesting setup that we have here today.
Well, and to have, had these storms, Rebecca, top out and peak out, peak heating time, anywhere from 2 o'clock to 4 or 5 o'clock. I mean, that's, kind of that sweet spot when it comes to storm development because of the high heat and humidity. We also have another tornado warning that is in the far western areas of Dodge County for these cells that are moving out of Dane County. So
that is a newly
Columbia
issued,
County, rather.
Yep, Columbia and Dodge. That is a brand new additional tornado warning that they just put out. Also getting word, and apologies if this is a repeat, especially for the Houston area. Rotation signature is starting to tighten up there. So that again is for parts of Columbia here, now edging into Dodge County.
All right, let's do this since that really is the area that we're watching, the newly kind of our new area. I know we have that one warning for Western Dodge. Let's do a storm track. Obviously, Houston right now, it is the time to be in that tornado safe spot, right? The basement, the bathroom, or the closet. But let's look where that hook is and let's draw that out because this one is going to be most likely impacting at least parts of Washington County. So we'll draw that out. The storms could be moving anywhere from 30 to 40 miles an hour. So Iron Ridge at 332 a few minutes from now, Addison at 342, Wayne at 350, Kewaskum at 355, the Mitchell area at 410. So if you're anywhere around that area, that tornado warning storm is likely going to be moving toward you. So we've got that storm track. We're still watching that storm near the Waupun area. I don't want to forget about that. That's had the history of funnel clouds and tornadoes at this point. It is still wrapped up. The back edge, that what we call that rear flank downdraft, is moving throughout the Waupun area. So you're probably getting pummeled with some heavy winds. But here's Oakfield. We remember historically Oakfield, the last EF5 tornado to hit the state back in the 90s. But you're not in that. You're not in the tornado warn area yet. But this storm is still wrapped up. We're still seeing that south of Brandon. So it's definitely an area of concern. Probably a good idea to do another storm track out of that particular cell. Again, when we've got multiple tornado warning cells, we're going to kind of go around the horn here and keep tabs on things. Now this guy is moving a little bit more north, than northeast, and now they've extended that warning more toward Fond du Lac County. So the El Dorado area 346, Friendship at 352. Oshkosh at 405. So this gets out of our area here, but southern Fond du Lac County, you're definitely under the gun. as that storm is wrapping up and moving into your area. So we've got multiple tornado warnings. The tornado watch goes until 6 o'clock for everyone out there as these storms are coming coming together. I think we've got a DOT camera that we can show right now. Where is this? Where are we showing this?
I think, Drew, this might be the DOT camera, US 151 at Main Street.
Okay. So we've got obviously some rain, going on within that area. But when we look back on our radar here, there's so many tornado warnings. At this point, it's always just a good idea to reset. So Rebecca, I think we'll do that. Let's pull that DOT camera off. Maybe widen out a little bit because again, we've got folks that are joining us, at different times, especially with things that are going on. It is summer, and we've got a lot going on, so people are joining. So we've got all these different tornado warnings. So maybe turn back off the radar and let's just go around the horn and show people. Let's show people what's going on.
Okay,
with
I
the
can go ahead and
particular
take
ones.
over since I'm the one clicking on it. It'll be a little bit easier
Yep.
for me to read what's right in front of you here. So again, let's take you into Fond du Lac County, which I believe is the newest tornado warning to be issued. So you'll see that is taking aim at the city of Fond du Lac, by the way, as well. Fond du Lac proper itself, maybe just outside, but again, heading your way. These are all moving northeast to northeast at about 35. So that goes until 4 o'clock. Then let me go ahead and query the one that you're seeing northeast of Watertown. So that one for east central Dodge County, that one is in effect until 4 o'clock here this afternoon. So that's another tornado warning. And again, that was the cell out of the Eustisford area that we're watching. So we're also watching that cell. Let me go ahead and back out of that. And now we're looking at western Dodge County. So again, now that's another one that'll be moving into potentially the Beaver Dam area, kind of a broader polygon, if you will, which is also wrapped with a severe thunderstorm warning. That one goes until 4 o'clock. So again, that's officially for a part of Columbia, Dane, and Dodge. South of that, in that orange, in case you're curious, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So kind of overlapping there, maybe just also in addition seeing a push of straight line winds, which could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. So that includes parts of Dodge and Jefferson, and that goes until 4 o'clock. So those are the ones into our area. The yellow as a whole is the tornado watch. But I want to point out right now that although that watch goes until 6 o'clock and conditions are prime for severe weather, where we're seeing active tornadoes and funnels at this time is north of the city of Milwaukee, because I have been getting some questions from area daycares and things like that. Milwaukee County is not seeing severe storms at this time. So you can have a sigh of relief there, but this is the best time to get your little plan in place of where you want to be. And of course, also just really quickly, Red Granite, that's Marquette County, there's a flash flood warning there.
Yeah.
So we've had a history yesterday of some heavy rainfall that now is into our area. So could be looking at some really heavy downpours of some of these.
All right, let's turn back over. Let's put our radar data on, and I just want to show the areas that we want to do storm tracks on. And if you want to switch over to storm relative velocity, and just to see if we can get a better vantage point from our tornado warned areas. Obviously, that's coming into Dodge County, but I want to go on those two individual supercells themselves, just to try to get an idea. So here's the Eustisford area. So we've got that rotation that's showing up there. That obviously we're watching very closely. The storm is wrapped up. Here's the storm track there. Iron Ridge at 339, Addison at 349, Wayne at 356, Kewaskum at 402, Auburn at 406. So we've got that tornado warned storm, and then we've got our other one that's primarily now focused into Fond du Lac County, and you could see that green. It's Rebecca, if you want to pivot up, we've got our news bug that's covering that up, and I can't change that. So,
Okay, yep, let me do that.
Yep.
I just need to back up far enough so I can track it out, which again, that's a little more due north of a storm, and so
Right.
I got to bring that out about 35 miles per hour. Now let me see if I can zoom in a little more. So, but there's your track on that one.
Yeah, El Dorado at 348, Friendship at 354, and then it gets outside of our area. So right now, the area that we're seeing the most is Dodge County. That seems to be pretty much, our ground zero, if you will, with most of the storm. So, and you could see the green here. So what's happening is when you're looking at rotation, right, that green, the radar is basically by my feet, okay? So that green is moving toward, that red is moving away, and we've got this couplet here with that rotation, and that's why the radar's sensing it. And it's showing that actually up thousands of feet, but it's definitely there in the mid-levels, and we've had storm chasers that have been in and around that area. Let's go back over to our reflectivity, Rebecca, and we can show these hooks. And again, we've got this intense line of storms here. We've got tornado warn, part of that storm. So we've got the Houston storm. We've got now the storm in southern portions of Fond du Lac County. And now I want to go into that line, if you will. Beaver Dam, the storms are going to be heading in your direction within that line. So maybe a good idea if you want to do the squall line tracker,
Sure.
On that, Rebecca, pretty much where the tornado warning is. And we'll just draw that out and give a few other locations. We may see, different areas that are, getting hit by a few storms, for that matter. So here we go. Marshall at 341, Beaver Dam at 348, Juneau at 414, Fond du Lac at 427. So that's what we're looking at within that storm. So we've got tornado warnings that go out until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Nothing is extended past 4 o'clock. And I said this earlier, and I want to say it again because I want to talk to the youngsters. I want to talk to the kiddos out there. Listen, I've got kids, and I understand how this works. A lot of us, you may be staying home. It's summertime. Mom and dad may be working. They may be running errands, and you're hearing your town mentioned. You're saying, this is really scary. I don't know what to do. All you got to do is keep it right here. All right. You can turn the volume up. Get to the basement. If you've got a basement, you're going to be completely safe. Stay away from the windows, those window wells. But otherwise, a basement's a great place. You may be saying, Drew, I don't have that. I don't have a basement. Well, you don't have to worry either. The lowest floor, all right, and that's a great place to go. And away from windows, a bathroom or a closet in the center part of your house or apartment would be a really good spot. We really just want you away from windows, and we want you into the center part of your house or home because that is the strongest part. I know it's scary. I know it can be overwhelming, and you can have anxiety over that, but we're going to walk you through it, and we will stay on as long as these tornado warnings are going on. So we've got 3 specific warnings that we're watching. This line of storms moving back into the Dodge County area from Fall River to Columbus, tracking east into western portions of Dodge County. We've got the Houston particular supercell thunderstorm. That's wrapped up right here. That's moving toward Iron Ridge.
And I just want to mention on
Yes.
that one, getting word too that there was a touchdown on that one, and that was Level Valley Road at Eustis Road. So if you're near that area, now of course obviously it's moving northeast, but that's kind of
Right.
just like northwest of Eustisford there. So again,
Okay.
another ground confirmation of a tornado touchdown here with this particular cell.
Yeah, Hubbard, right now you are in the thick of it. You probably will have a hail core, and eventually that tornado could roll closer to you. Iron Ridge as well. Of course, we've got that wind farm around the Iron Ridge area. So that storm is going to be tracking further to the northeast toward you. We're not going to get too far into Washington County at this point because I do want to see where that storm tracks. But then let's also go into southern Fond du Lac County where we have that tornado warning, which I know that was that was extended there. Does that go out to 4 o'clock as well, Rebecca? I didn't see that.
Last time I checked, it was 4 o'clock. Let's just double check
Okay.
on that one. And I'm just getting a sample of the heavy rain there, but that is also with an expiration of 4 p.m. as you can see there on your screen.
And that's wrapped up, and you can see the tail right here. That is the mesocyclone, and that's where that tornado would be. So if you're watching from Fond du Lac, Friendship, El Dorado, that storm is going to be tracking closer to you. It looks like it's going to pass just to the west of Oakfield, but very close. Lamartine, I hope I'm saying that one right. But you definitely need to be in your tornado safe spot at this point. Rogersville, I guess Ladaga area, that's where the core is. This is where your hail would be, and then that lifts, and then you've got that possible tornado that would move into your area. So 3 separate tornado warnings across southeastern Wisconsin, at least in our viewing area that we're watching tonight. This afternoon, rather. All of them go until 4 o'clock. And some of us just haven't seen a whole lot, with storms, but that doesn't mean additional storms are not expected to develop. Between now and about 6 or 7 o'clock, I think is pretty much fair game across the entire area with additional showers and thunderstorms. But Rebecca's showing you right now, these are the areas that we're watching, 3 tornado warnings. And typically, we don't see that, a lot. This isn't the Mid-South or Central Plains, but to get, 3 different tornado warnings and chasers around, confirmed, funnels and tornadoes, obviously, that is a busy, busy day. So I think it's just important to continue to do storm tracks as we go through. And, Rebecca, if it's easier, if you can see it better, without the radar, without the reflectivity, but with our storm relative velocity or our velocity product, that would, that's fine by me. Whatever's a little bit easier to show. We're showing the hooks pretty well, on all of these storms as they're wrapped up. But this is a good shot right here, Rebecca. So again, the radar is on the bottom of your television screen, way down where I'm pointing. So that green is coming toward the radar, and that red is moving away. And right in this area, that's your couplet. That's where that tornado possibly, could be. And I don't know, Rebecca, I know there's a lot going on in the chat. Do they have anything confirmed still in that area?
They have no new information on that as of now, so they're just continuing to run with those warnings. But the good news is, one thing they are starting to trim back on is just chopping off the back edge of that tornado watch, which of course is still west of us.
Sure.
But that's good news there. Just re-updating that the tornado warning will continue yet in west central Dodge County and Columbia County there. So let me just go ahead and back on. Let's just take a look at that one as well.
And while you do that, Rebecca, we've got some video from earlier on today. This was in the Dane County area. This was a funnel that was spotted. And this is where you want to be if you're a storm chaser. You want to be in that clear air, a good vantage point there. The only problem is it's tough to see because you've got that little hill or that ridge, whether it's actually on the ground. But that was earlier on today. A very impressive video with that particular storm. Okay, let's go back over to radar, Rebecca.
Sure. Okay, let's switch it back over to the radar. Again, we were just looking at the wind aspect of those storms. Now we're looking at the heavy rainfall. And again, just the shape, the nature of these storms where we're picking out some of that curvature where you can kind of see where the rotation would be in some of these.
Yeah, you see these notches. It looked better earlier. Now, what might be happening right now is that storm could be recycling. And, these tornadoes and these supercells, they may weaken a little bit, and then they come back up. They ingest some really warm, humid air. So they may be, continuing to redevelop there. Doesn't matter if you're around that part of Dodge County, right around Hubbard. That tornado could be right over you as we speak. Mayville storm remains. You remain to the north of that storm, but if that tracks a little bit further to the north, you may be very close to where that tornado could be. But Iron Ridge, Anita area, near Herman Center, depending on where that storm moves. We'll have to watch it pretty closely. Also have to watch Sheboygan County and Washington County as well. So we've got several different areas here. This tornado warned part of Fond du Lac County, all right, which is now moving away from Oakfield, but is right over the Rogersville area, tracking toward Wood Hill. So if you know some people around that vicinity, give them a call and let them know. But it looks like that is pivoting a little bit further to the north. So I will be interested to see if they extend that tornado warning further to the north into like the central part of Fond du Lac County. All of these warnings go out for roughly about another 15 minutes until 4 o'clock. So we'll see how things transpire, but everything still looks to be fairly wrapped up. And then we've got this line here producing tornado warnings back into the Beaver Dam, just to the west of Beaver Dam. You are outside it, but I would consider yourself too close for comfort there. Columbus, Calamus tracking toward Beaver Dam, and this is bowed out pretty decently here from Fall River. When you see a bowing segment like that, what's happening is you get these mid-level winds about 10,000 feet that punch into the back of that storm, and you get these straight line winds. And sometimes you can get little areas of rotation there producing tornadoes. So we've got just another DOT camera there. This is in Fond du Lac County. I-41, not seeing anything there. Beaver Dam at 353, Lowell at 359, Burnett at 406, Leroy at 421, and the Lamartine vicinity at 426. That's that line that we're watching. So over the next 15 minutes, will be interesting to see what these storms do. They may weaken. We also have a bit of a lake breeze too that could do some things. This is it, the western part, and Rebecca mentioned this earlier, the western part of the state, they yanked the tornado watch because all the ingredients now are east. So we are not going to be expecting tornadic thunderstorms all night long. This is going to be primarily an early evening type of event as the storms come through. Rebecca, anything on chat, particularly around Dodge County with any chasers or anything? We haven't really heard anything.
Okay, so looks like they're going to let the Marquette County tornado warning go. So that's going to, again, that's just west of the viewing area. No new information into Dodge County. And while I know we don't have any severe warnings on the one, I just wanted to quickly get a glance at Kenosha County here. Just that pink, that's a severe thunderstorm watch, and that was a close call. But that, you may have just been brushed with maybe a quick downpour, maybe Sun Prairie, or Pleasant Prairie, I should say. That doesn't look to be too concerning. The rest of that is going to miss out southern parts. So, and again, just with much of the population in Milwaukee County, a lot of questions coming out of Milwaukee. Not seeing any severe storms. Yes, we have the tornado watch, but as we are dissecting all this, there's really no imminent threat for any place in Milwaukee County. Great news there. So again, we're really focused right here in this section, and you can look at it just like we are. You can see that trajectory. It's all moving northeast, and it's moving northeast about 30 miles an hour. Yeah,
just what's been very helpful today has been all these spotters and chasers on these storms because they are what we call ground truth. They really give us that really good information. I want to switch over to storm relative velocity, if you will, Rebecca. I want to look back in to that tornado warned storm that's moving throughout Dodge County, right around the Eustisford area. Now that it's passed further to the east of Eustisford, we're still seeing some signs of that, although it definitely looks like it's broadened somewhat, which is a good thing. That's what we want to see. If you see a tight couplet, red right next to green, very bright, that's usually a very good indication on radar that strong rotation that's probably reaching the ground. That one is a little bit more diffuse on that one, and hopefully all of this is just being more outflow dominated as it's moving into Dodge County, where we're seeing just straight line type of winds and not tornadic winds, but definitely strong winds coming out of that. Moving into western Dodge County, we could see the possibility of winds there over 60 miles an hour. And the problem is along those lines, you can get some rotation inside that to see. Rebecca, did you have something?
Yeah, and I did want to just hop back over to the plane velocity product because they are going to transition out of the tornado warning to a severe thunderstorm warning and still looking at that potential for some straight line winds. So in addition to rotating storms, straight line winds in itself looks to be an issue.
Yep.
So looking at places like Reeseville, Lowell, North Lowell, again, heading back to Beaver Dam, all of that where you kind of see that Boeing red, you're probably going to be feeling some strong winds there as this blows through.
Yeah, I think 60-mile-an-hour winds will be possible along that leading edge, especially as that bows out. So if you're just tuning in right now, waiting for the 4 o'clock news to start, wondering why programming has been taken over, we've got several tornado warnings, all of which go until 4 o'clock. We've got the Fond du Lac warning right here, and then we've got the Dodge County warning for this particular part. That was the one near Hustisford that we were watching. Goes out until 4 o'clock, and then we've got western Dodge County. So like I said, everything has pretty much been centered around Dodge County, southern portions of Fond du Lac County. All the upper level ingredients, that wind shear seems to be pretty pronounced within this area. So, but as Rebecca had mentioned, they're now starting to issue severe thunderstorm warnings, and that usually is a good sign, at least when it comes to tornadic thunderstorms transitioning from tornadic to severe thunderstorms. So, and that severe thunderstorm warning, as Rebecca put on there, goes until 4:30. Not a surprise. I think we will probably see additional severe thunderstorm warnings issued across the area. But until then, we still have our tornado warned storms. And maybe a good idea, Rebecca, as we've got about 9 minutes left, at least on those warnings, let's do some storm tracks. A couple more storm tracks, and we'll just go around the horn on those tornado warned storms. We can start in southern Fond du Lac County if you want. Switch back over to reflectivity, and then we'll storm track that out. Give the folks an idea of where those storms are going. So, and
just a small sliver here of Jefferson County. I just want to point that out, also under the warning. So, all right. So let's go ahead, and what I'd like to go over back to the radar, Drew, just because
that's fine. Yeah.
That way, what I'm gonna do in real time here with you guys is just. I want to back it up so I can get the right trajectory. Some of them have been moving more due north, some more northeast. So let's take a look at that Fond du Lac one. So that one, kind of look at how that one's moving. I'm going to track that one out again. Not quite that much about that. About 30 miles an hour there. So that should give you kind of a really good path for that particular tornadic storm. And again, it only queries some of the cities, but we can also just get in here and see some of the other smaller cities around. So certainly North Fond du Lac here, moving out of Lamartine. Just the western side of Fond du Lac proper, you're probably okay there. Very close call, still get to your safe place. El Dorado, again, that's, you're very close to that. Black Wolf, Highland Park, Brothertown. Even places like Stony Beach. Now we're getting up closer to the Fox cities. Now we're getting to Oshkosh, things like that. If you have friends and family in that area, I know I do. If you can shoot them a text, let them know, hey, you've got some pretty wicked storms heading your way. So that is the Fond du Lac County storm.
By the way, that storm now right over Mayville, at least the core of that, that's just about outside of the box. The tornado warn box, which again goes out until 4 o'clock. But we'll do a quick track on that. The hook doesn't look as pronounced on that particular, at least that core, but that doesn't mean anything. It could be, it could be strengthening, or it could be recycling. The Theresa area at 357, Ashford at 406, Campbellsport at 411, Forest at 425, Greenbush at 4:31. So tornado warning continues for another about 7 minutes or so. Will they issue downstream? They could. We may see a few more counties added with the tornado warning. Obviously, we know that our news at 4 will start at 4 o'clock, but we will continue our coverage as needed, especially if we've got tornado warned areas. Now, we still have that tornado warning, but all of this is now transitioning downstream, like Rebecca said, to severe thunderstorm warnings. That goes until 4:30, but you're seeing those winds coming through Beaver Dam right now. Please stay away from windows as the storms are rolling through. They definitely could pack some gusts over 60 miles an hour. This one we can do a little bit differently. We call this a squall line track. We'll track this out to the northeast. So North Lowell at 3:55, Juneau at 4:05, Mayville at 4:22, Lomira at 4:31, and Fond du Lac at 4:34. But that would be more for straight line winds, winds over 50 or 60 miles an hour. So that's how that storm is transitioning.
Let's take a look at the hail with that too. Just
Sure.
we haven't switched over to that, so if anything looks significant there, and
not seeing much.
yeah, that would be that one coming out of kind of the Mayville area. That's not looking super impressive.
Yeah.
Again, what you're also seeing is the funnel indicators there.
Right, all
and
the
heavy
different
rain.
reports.
So we're getting a lot of data here that I'm throwing at you, but just we haven't touched much on the hail, so we're going to look at that.
Well, and these storms are running about 30 to 35,000 feet. So, if we had 45 to 50,000 foot tops on these storms, then chances are we probably are going to be getting some pretty big hail. But we're not. But still, wind and that tornado threat continues as these storms are in a pretty favorable environment. You walk outside today, temperatures spike into the 80s. Of course, the humidity, dew points have been in the lower 70s. That is like Gulf Coast air, and that is absolute fuel for these storms, man. They gobble that up, and you get, just like an engine, a combustion, what we call convection, that just blows up with these storms. And you have a little wind shear that's going on, winds that come in at different levels at different speeds can spin these storms, and we've had all these ingredients together today throughout the northwestern part of our area, and it's shown. We've had a lot of funnel reports, tornado reports, and we still obviously have tornado warnings that are continuing at least for another 4 minutes. Rebecca, I don't know if there's any chatter on extending anything. Sometimes they'll talk about that, but.
And I just wanted to circle where we're probably seeing some pretty strong winds coming into,
Right.
south side, maybe all of Beaver Dam down through Lowell to Waterloo. So right now they are getting asked about the Fond du Lac warning, so we're waiting to see if they're going to extend that. What we do know as we go back to those warnings, so it's just a little clearer for you, is that they are going to let the Columbia County, Dodge County warning here, this tornado warning, that my circle isn't perfect, but you get the idea. That red tornado warning there, that's going to expire as they've transitioned that to more of straight line wind concern. That's the orange that you've seen extended out. That now goes till 4:30, and that cuts into Fond du Lac County as well, right on the heels of what is still a tornado warning, and which is very close to near and to just west of Fond du Lac proper. So as of now, again, that warning for Columbia to Western Dodge will fall off here in just a few moments. We're sitting just 3 minutes before 4 o'clock, and they're in effect until 4. So it may be 4 o'clock before you see that drop off of our map.
Right.
And
we had that earlier, actually, about an hour or so ago when we were covering tornado warnings. One expired, but there was a thought, well, it may be extended a little bit. So we waited, and thankfully it wasn't, and the storms weakened. What I'm hoping here, Rebecca, is you got those individual storms that are kind of becoming a little bit more muddled, and they're kind of running into each other, and that this is the main line, folks, right here. Once this passes through, by 7 o'clock, I think most of this is going to be done. We're not worried about this overnight into the day tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow we will struggle to get to 70 degrees. So the winds are going to be changing tomorrow, and there's going to be a huge difference. But we haven't seen a lot of storms to the south. So the question is, will we get a few more storms bubbling, that move through? But any storm this late afternoon into the early evening with this type of environment could turn strong to severe. My hope is that once 4 o'clock happens, as we go throughout the next 10 to 15 minutes, that these storms here are just losing their steam, they're losing their form, kind of going into an environment that's not as impressive. If we get the line itself to kind of sweep through like a broom, and that'll be that. What we definitely will have will be a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, would be my guess, that will probably replace a lot of these tornado warnings. But in fairness, this cell here is pretty much outside of the tornado warned area. Same thing with the Fond du Lac storm. I mean, you're talking right on the edge of Fond du Lac County. So if you're going to extend these warnings, you got to do it now because the storms are moving out. My guess is we probably see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. Rebecca.
They're not going to be extending the tornado warning up in Fond du Lac County. Like you said, it's moving out of that red shaded area. They do not feel like that will continue to pose a rotating threat there.
Good news. Good.
They have not mentioned if they will transition to severe thunderstorm warning there. No word yet as I just quickly pop off the radar. Well, and it looks like I don't need a word. They dropped the other tornado warning in East Central Dodge County. So now what we are left with for warnings is in that orange area. And again, I'll just take off that radar for a moment. That orange polygon, that goes until 4:30. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. We're talking about more of the straight line winds there as this long line is starting to bear down through Beaver Dam, about to hit the Watertown area.
Well, Rebecca, we're going to send it right to the 4 and come back to our radar and track it out for you.